Hey everyone, DFA here, welcome back to the channel. And yeah, so the Midway got buffed, the American dive bomber line got buffed. I feel I'm entitled to speak about it because I actually completed the Battle Honors of the Midway last year. And I put it dead last on my comparison of tier 10 CVs. As you can see with my stats on it, there's nothing really outstanding there. It's way below my other tier 10 ships, even tier 10 CVs or tier 10 battleships. Yeah, look at the GK, much better, Louisiana, much better, Malta, Audacious, not even in the same league. In fact, it's comparable with my tier 8 ships actually. So yeah, the Midway got a buff. They did increase the amount of HP that the dive bombers and torpedo bombers have, and now it does have a comparable hangar with the FDR, so much better than the Malta. That's kind of the original characteristic of the Midway, if you ask me, so that's a good thing. But they haven't really touched the fighters. I would have preferred the fighter buff because that's really the characteristic of the American line. They're the most defensive focused CVs. And practically, the fighters today, there's nothing special about it anymore. They were very good 5 or 6 years ago, but now, honestly, Manfred are better, Wasp are better, FDR of course shits on everything. But yeah, it's not like you're going to stop too many enemy CVs in the first place. And honestly, Wargaming has added a lot of AA ships at tier 10 recently. Ginans, Austins, Yodo was pretty good AA, we're going to see that later. San Martin is pretty deadly, Garden Leo is pretty deadly, the Minotaur got buffed, Goliath is actually not, but yeah, there's quite a lot of them. St. Vincent, I'm forgetting these ones. And yeah, essentially the American ships, they all have levels of AA that are good enough to make you regret your life choices. So the Midway was actually pretty easy to deplane. What I wanted to do is actually compare these situations. So that was recorded right before the buff. I did test the amount of planes that you actually use against ships which have some different levels of AA. I'm starting with the Carnot, which has actually DFAA2 and around, yeah, I think it's something like 200-300 levels of AA. So it's pretty good for a tier 9 ship, but it's not enough to actually delete a single dive bomber squadron. So yeah, I did lose 6 planes in that wave, but I did not lose a single dive bomber squadron. And that's actually important, because it's when you completely delete a squadron that the CV player gets penalized. The reload times get significantly increased. I think it's 50%, so the Midway you're looking at something like 40 seconds. And this is what is actually killing your DPM with that thing. It's also giving the time to the enemy DFFFA skill to reset, because practically, yeah, with that penalty on the travel time of the planes, yeah, by the time you're coming back to your target, it's going to be there waiting for you again. So yeah, I did put it against a Colbert, which has a bit more AA, to be honest. I think it's 300 base, a bigger range, and you get DFA too. So yeah, there you're going to lose a squadron, and you will see the impact it has on the reload time. So that's what non-CV players do not understand. They're very happy to criticize ships they actually never played. But practically the Midway, yeah, there you go, so that's the first squadron, it's going to get deleted, and you see the impact on the reload time right away. There you go, 50 seconds, so it's actually doubling it, yeah. So for 50 seconds you cannot do anything. Okay, fine, but it means that you also cannot do anything with your other squadrons, because if you are sending them, even though they reload faster, they also get deleted faster. Then there's no mass effect anymore. So you're kind of entering a vicious circle, and that is why the most important feature for an AA ship is to be able to have enough AA to remove that first squadron. So the Colbert was able to take down 6 planes. I'm putting it against the Yodo, which, as another CC would put it, has laughable AA, I'm quoting. And yeah, practically the Yodo is going to essentially delete most of the first wave. And yeah, we're not even talking about an American cruiser here, we're talking about a Japanese cruiser. So yeah, practically the first wave, the first bomber squadron gets deleted, the second one gets mauled, and the last one on the target is actually the one that gets hurt as well. So we've already lost 7 planes, and we're losing another 2, so that's 9. So out of the 15, 9 of them were deleted. Okay, now let's take a look at the buffed one. So 6 ships for the Colbert in the previous test and 9 for the Yodo. Yeah, let's see what this gives us. Is the Colbert still actually capable of deleting the first squadron? Yeah, let's find out. And essentially, you're activating the FAA, start taking damage, etc, etc. Yeah, does it get removed? Barely, no, it still gets removed, so yeah. No real effect on the buff, you're still losing the same amount of planes on the Colbert. Now let's transition to the Yodo. So now let's take a look at the Yodo, same conditions as before, we activate the FAA whilst the plane are getting closed, and yeah, essentially it's not going to have a big effect, so practically the first plane is still going to be deleted. And yeah, so I've already lost 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, 8. So we did lose one fewer plane than the previous one, so that would be the effect of the buff. Not significant, and we still get that punishing reload time, unfortunately. So yeah, I went ahead and played about 10 battles with it to get a feel for the changes, to see if they actually affected the gameplay in any meaningful way. And yeah, not really, to be completely honest, hasn't really changed much. It's probably, I would still put it as the worst tier 10 CV. I really wished they had changed the fighters, because honestly when you're dealing with FDR and Malta, you really need all the help you can get to be removing those enemy squadrons. And Wargaming, if you're thinking about rebalancing CVs because they're too powerful, yeah, why not give the enemy CV an actual option to delete CV planes, to actually defend the fleet? Because yeah, if you look at me right now, so I did focus on the first dive bomber squadron because I wanted to remove it. For the reasons I've explained, I really did want to create a desynchro on the enemy CV so that the next wave comes with fewer planes, or he has to wait until everything is ready. But yeah, practically 5 planes shot down, that's really not much. So yeah, I do go after that Shimakaze normally. I do not do that because the Midway on average you score about 20% of your hits, but what I do there, I usually use my torpedo bombers on enemy destroyers. But yeah, the most important thing is we drive him away from the center cap, and we did score 3 bombs, so we have a little bit lucky. That's actually quite nice. None of the planes got deleted, so I only have to face a 20 seconds reload time, so that's actually good, and that's why you really have to pay attention with your strikes on them. You see that the enemy CV makes a mistake, so he's sending his planes one by one, and yeah, that's actually how you create issues with, yeah. And that's the biggest mistake of all. I got a bit carried away, and immediately I'm going to tell my team and I'm going to focus him. So yeah, he just damage con, so the game is over for him. That's pretty clear. I'm keeping my fighters there because I want to keep him spotted, and I also want to make sure that they are the first ones to tank the AA of the enemy CV. So yeah, essentially I really want to keep them spotted. It's going to go down. I'm going to lose a few planes here because the Vermont gets closer. Yeah, but I don't care, honestly. If the price to pay is to take one of the most dangerous enemy ships out of the battle, yeah, that's the price I'm happily paying. And you see, I do get punished with that 50 seconds reload time, but I don't care. I've taken out the Malta, and that's all that matters. So the game, yeah, I'm not going to say it's won, but it's looking really good as we speak. And that's really how you have to play that thing, so yeah. Yeah, I don't know what you think. You've seen what that Paolo Emilio just did to that Zao, but yeah, he just got deleted. I have seen a lot more of these behaviors, and while I'm still waiting forever until my planes are ready, you see that I also lost the torpedo bomber squadron, so I still have to wait a lot of time for everything to be ready. So yeah, the Midway, it's really not the best and most interesting ship to play, if I'm completely honest. You're passive a lot of the time, yeah. But there you go, that gives you time to think about what you're going to do. And in that case, what I did was, number one, spot the DDs that were on the right, because I kind of had lost track of them, and I'm observing the Vermont. He just damage gone. I'm going to send my entire wave of plane there, and I'm going to remove him from the game. So yeah. I think the dive bombers are actually going to be enough, so I'm going to help my curry first with the gearing there. So I typically only do that with torpedo bombers. Yeah, don't need help, I'm going to focus on the Marceau there. And let's see if we can actually do anything to him. So a little bit tricky, because it's super fast, so we have to lead a bit more than what you would expect. In the meantime, we do set the Vermont on fire, double fire, the Vermont is certainly going down. And yeah, let's see if we can actually get a few torpedoes to hit that Marceau. So yeah. 1, 2, we damage the module, we cause a flood, and the Vermont goes down. So yeah, that's really how you play the Midway. You observe, so you use the long waiting times to observe the positioning of the enemy team, which ships are actually set on fire and flood, which ships are using their damage con, and you actually hit them with everything you got. So in that case, yeah, which ships are isolated, that's the most important thing, because yeah, typically the golden rule is always to engage the closest, most dangerous, most isolated enemy ships. That's what you saw me do with that Shimakaze at the beginning of the game. It was an easy target. Yeah, and in that, now it's the end of the game, we're doing quite well, and that Montana is also another easy target. So I'm seeing torpedoes going through him, so I want to see if they're actually flooding him. So yeah, there I do. So I'm putting back all the planes, including the fighters, because yeah, the reason why I was sending them first is to actually tank the AA for the Montana, to make sure that all of my planes, my offensive plane, made into the target. But yeah, now we're going to do that again, and this time we will set him on fire and we will flood him and we will remove him from the game. So yeah, did the buff really change the Midway? Not so much, to be honest. I would have preferred to have the fighters improved, because yeah, to really giving back its crown of more better, the best defensive CV. Offensively is still fairly limited. With the insane amount of AA ships in the game right now, so I should maybe not have picked that battle, because I had others where I was feeling completely hopeless, but yeah, who wants to see that kind of games anyway? Yeah, a buff for nothing in my opinion, not really solving anything for the Midway, not making it more interesting to play, not making it more meta in any way, so yeah, poor design choice on this one. That's where I will leave it. Stay safe, take care, that was DFA, signing out, bye bye!